or a re-roofing project, their overall goal is to provide you with a pleasant experience and long-lasting roof. If you have a need for siding or gutters, they're your place too. Visit roofingservicecompany.com for more info today.
When you or a loved one hears the words, "you have cancer," you want to make sure you're surrounded by a team you can trust, who will be a true partner in your cancer journey. At NHO, you'll be treated like family, and you'll feel that compassion every time you walk through our doors. After all, this is the fight of your life, and you'll need the best people to be on your side. We're Nebraska Hematology Oncology. On your side, by your side.
Ever wish you had another light switch on the other side of the room on a dark night? How much better would you sleep at night if you had a ceiling fan in your room? The High Electric Service Department is here to make your electrical what-ifs a reality. Whether you're looking to replace some outdated light fixtures or brighten up your counters with under-cabinet lighting, High Electric can handle all types of residential electrical installations and services. Give Erica a call today at 402-466-6606 or visit high-electric.com to get started.
This is On the Block with Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland. Nebraska Football Hall of Famer, Jay Foreman. Middle school basketball coaching legend and Duke basketball shooting coach in his mind, Austin Orman. Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Sponsored by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. This is On the Block with Eric Strickland, Jay Foreman, and Austin Orman.
Welcome in to a short Thursday edition of On the Block. I'm Austin Orman. This is On the Block, brought to you by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. Special ingredient butcher shop with every type of meat and every type of cut. They've got 3 Lincoln locations, 84th and Havelock, 85th and Old Cheney, as well as 30th and Yankee Hill. But they also have a location up in Omaha. That's 168th and Maple Street. Make sure you go and check out the Mercado today, themercadobutchery.com. Tomorrow is Fired Up Friday down here in Lincoln. You can go to their 84th and Havelock location starting at, I believe, 11 a.m., and they will have a special for you for lunch, right in the wheelhouse in terms of the price, and always exceeding the already high expectations in terms of the taste with what they deliver. Excited to see and hear what that is tomorrow for Fired Up Friday at the Mercado at 84th and Havelock here in Lincoln. 402-464-5685. You got any thoughts on anything we're going through here? A little bit of news out of the Husker realm. Let's definitely get to that first. Husker baseball announced its weekend starting rotation. Not a whole bunch of surprises here, right? With the unfortunate news that Mason McConaughey is missing the rest of the season with an arm injury that he suffered down in Frisco. At least for this weekend, what's going to happen is Ty Horn will slide up into the Friday spot, and then you will have Will Walsh and Jackson Brockett take the mound for the 3-game series. Those are the guys that got the starts for Nebraska at the end of the 4-game sets. But of course, it's not a Friday, Saturday, Sunday series anymore. Nebraska baseball also announced today that due to forecasted cold temperatures tomorrow, Nebraska will be playing a doubleheader on Saturday starting at 1 p.m. Central. So no game for Husker baseball against Washington tomorrow. There will be 2 games on Saturday. That'll be Horn and Walsh starting for the Big Red. And then you get Jackson Brockett on the Sunday game. If you had a ticket for tomorrow's game, that becomes exchangeable for a general admission ticket for any of the regular season home games remaining while supplies last on a game-to-game basis. Let's bring in Husker Hall of Famer, 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland. Strick, women's basketball tournament action going on for the Husker ladies out in Indianapolis. They took care of business yesterday, an 84-60 win for them. They get a rematch against 7th-seeded Illinois here in just a couple hours. But Strick, I think a couple things are worth noting. I think, first of all, shout out to the women's team for having the season that they've had, a 20-win year, despite being down 2 starters. Their defensive heartbeat and spark plug in Allison Widener, and then the second part of the post duo We know Alexis Markowski, but Natalie Potts was really coming into her own at the end of last year and start of this year. Nebraska's down to, borderline starters, if not at the very least heavy minute players. And here they are winning a game in the Big Ten tournament already at 20 wins on the season.
I mean, absolutely. And listen, sometimes these can be beneficial to you, Austin, in that it allows other players to have to look internally within themselves, continue to work on their games and take and elevate their games to another level without the expectation. It's a preparation. It's a level up with your mindset and your expectation, and you're required and needed to perform on a nightly basis. You can't kind of just hide out in the background and just kind of step in and fill in, and now you're challenged a little bit more with how you're going to be of help to the team and its success. So it can help them along the line, because I think, to me, it's going to create more depth. It's going to create a lot more depth. They did have a young team. They have some veterans. They had a good balance of that, but it's also going to just continue to enhance and prepare those other players to step in and fill in. And then it gives them a little bit better insight as a coaching staff to be able to look what direction do we want to go? Do we want to go young, kind of get somebody in because we feel good about the grouping of players that we have and their abilities to fill in? What do we think their levels are of what they could ascend to? Have they capped out? Do we need to go a little bit above that? They can do a little bit bigger assessment without just kind of, because you actually got track record, you actually got film work. So I think it can help them in the long run.
Let's go ahead and pause 10 quick seconds for station identification here on 93.7 The Ticket.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Strick, heading to our Sartor Heyman Jewelers text line here. Cubsker, one of our favorites during On the Block, says maybe the men's team will look at the women's team and get inspired. Still plenty to play for the men. They're not out of it. They're not dead quite yet. Certainly what seems to be on life support for any postseason hopes for the men. But you do have to credit the women's team for showing more response, I think, to adversity, maybe a little bit lighter of a schedule than what the men played at some times. But I think what we've seen, Strick, the biggest difference between these two programs is that the women's program is in a little bit of a healthier spot, it feels like right now. You know what you can depend on from them in the regular season. They're going to win 18 to 22 games, somewhere in that range. They're going to take care of business against the teams they should beat. They're going to lose to the teams that have elite upper-end talent, and then it's going to be about matchups for them moving forward. And what I think that we're still struggling to see from Husker men's basketball fans is they don't understand how it took a few years of consistency from Amy Williams and what she wanted out of her women's program to get it to be a perennial postseason contender, right? Yes, everyone talks about the NCAA tournament win that the men's program needs and desperately needs as a program just to validate itself at this point. But if you want Nebraska men's basketball to be a consistent postseason contender, which here's the thing, they're going to make some sort of postseason this year, whether it's a Big Ten tournament, NCAA tournament, or most likely the college basketball crown out in Vegas. Let's not pretend like Husker women's basketball has been in the NCAA tournament every year. They had a couple NIT appearances there as well, but they've gotten to a point where they're just taking care of business. And postseason is the expectation for that program year in, year out. And it's weird when something goes off the rails, but things don't go off the rails. They are such a consistent program, not high ceiling, not low floor. They're just there. And I think a lot of Husker men's basketball fans, wouldn't turn down that same thing over the next 5 years.
Yeah, that's the crazy part about it. I think that they would just love to have and see a little bit of consistency, and not just this continuous joy ride on an amusement park roller coaster that you seem to feel at different times, where it's crazy how you can go from looking at this program and saying, yeah, they found it, they're on the way. Then you look and you're like, what the heck is going on? It doesn't look like anything that I thought or perceived, or whatever the case may be. They look totally different. Whoa, okay. They found something, and they made an adjustment, whatever it is. Okay, maybe there were some injuries. Okay, they found adjustment. And then you're just like, again, you're like, you just kind of have this what's going on moment again. And that's the part I think that's probably very frustrating for those who are watching the game is they're watching a little bit of those ebbs and flows of emotions and feeling that you think you got a good grasp on it, and then there's something that throws you off the rails. So hey, they've got a chance still. So we're not boo-hooing and crying over here about any negative parts of it at this point, but it could get ugly. Fans could get to feeling a different type of way about it if it goes really off the rails in the next few days. Once they get into the Big Ten tournament, and then if they don't make any noise, then again you're going to have some feelings that pop up that could be negative from fans.
That you absolutely will. One more thing on Husker women's basketball. Their opponent tonight is Illinois. In the first matchup, Strick, Nebraska ended up losing that one 77-68. It was a 9-point advantage for Illinois in the third quarter that ended up being the difference in the 9-point victory. For Nebraska, a bit of a struggle in that game. Huskers shoot only 25 of 63 overall, 6 of 18 from three. They were 12 of 16 at the free throw line, but 9 of those makes and 11 of those attempts came from Alexis Markowski. Illinois basically said, okay, Alexis Markowski, see if you can go beat us. She had 28 points and 8 rebounds in that one, Strick, but Nebraska didn't have another scorer reach double figures. Britt Prince was the closest with 9 points, but it took her 11 shots and she didn't get to the free throw line. You look at Alberti Rimdahl scored 7 for Nebraska, then a couple players with 5. Those are little bit contributions. I think if Nebraska is going to want to beat Illinois and continue its march in the Big Ten tournament, it's going to need another scorer or two in double figures. That's what made Nebraska so dangerous yesterday against Rutgers, was you had Prince start the party early, Markowski come alongside Alberti Rimdahl off the bench, and then even Amaya Hargrove as a backup post came in and scored 13. Obviously, the more points you score, the better off you're going to be. But for this Nebraska women's team, to me, it's not nearly as much about how many points are they going to score, but how many different players can they get in that 9 to 13 point range? Because Markowski can be a number one option, Prince can be a number one option, Rimdahl can be a number one option, and then you add another 7 to 10 point scorer off the bench. To me, this Nebraska women's team is at its best when it's balanced, knowing who its best players are, but when those players that are getting double teamed, that have the ball in their hands a lot, can make those skip passes, those extra passes with confidence, knowing someone else is going to make a play. That to me is when this Husker women's basketball team looks the best.
Yeah, absolutely. They're definitely gonna look at Markowski. Markowski is probably their Kenny Loggins danger zone for them, as far as not letting her just have her way inside the paint. There's definitely going to be a need for transition for both of these teams. Nebraska scores more, and these teams are very equal. It's a matter of who does what within the game and what game plans are implemented that work and have some success, and who shoots well and who doesn't. But I think what you said is extremely important, and that's the balance of it. I think they definitely know, Markowski knowing and understanding that's probably going to be one of their focal points and their looks as what they need to shut down and stop, making Nebraska very perimeter dominate. Okay, knowing Nebraska can shoot, then you look to Prince, who's been emerging as a rising star for the Husker program, and then you want to eliminate some of her abilities to create and penetrate, and then also get open looks where she's very capable of knocking them down. That balance, I think, needs to come inside out. I think they need to go inside knowing that they're going to want to try to eliminate Markowski with then good ball movement, good passes on time and on target, and then having the ability to either make the next player knock the look down, and taking good shots, and then running with opportunity. They definitely have a team that's capable to run with opportunity and get an easy basket. So, and just don't be sloppy. If they do that, then I think they'll put themselves in a good opportunity on a neutral court to win another game in the Big Ten tournament.
Nebraska, Illinois coming up here in just about another 2 hours and change from Indianapolis. Strake, let's turn our attention to the NFL. An update from something that we talked about yesterday. DK Metcalf being allowed to seek a trade from the Seattle Seahawks. Comes out that DK Metcalf wants a $30 million contract, and the Seahawks want a first and a third-round pick for the young receiver in his prime. That's a pretty steep
It's a
price.
heavy tag. But like you said, that's a heavy tag, Austin. But there's a few teams out there that have the ability to do it now. To me, it's looking Washington. I mean, I'm just going to be honest. It's looking Washington because I think now. Look, I'm not going to say first and third. I think they're going to probably need to come up with that. Okay, if we're going to pay this price tag, we can't give you a first, but we can maybe give you a third. Like I think if they can hold on to their first. I think if they can hold on to their first, I think they would be open to that. Any other team out there, that's a heavy tag, man. You're talking about a $30 million increase in salary plus a first and a third. And that first and third would be this year's draft.
Didn't say they needed him in this year's, no. But I'm saying
but even still,
potentially either way.
Either still, I would say if you can defer a down the road third, here's why I say that, because Jaden Daniels is going to be coming up soon. You may be okay with, maybe relinquishing that down the road. I would say maybe 2 years down the road where he still has a couple of years before that it actually means something. But definitely not an immediate first, because you probably want to use that to stack your team somewhere else.
I would have to agree. We got to get out of here. Nick and Jay want it back at Pinnacle Bank Arena for more Class B action. Appreciate your thoughts, E-Stroke. We'll talk again soon, partner.
Yep. Peace.
Thanks to the Mercado for sponsoring On the Block. Don't go anywhere. We got high school hoops Class B continuing from Pinnacle Bank Arena here in just a moment. You know you want those Wingstop boneless